Thank you so much, everyone, for attending this webinar. I'm really excited to share what I know about smart conflict resolution. And I can definitely tell you this session will help you think about your DevOps strategy and will help you enhance your DevOps workflow. On the agenda today, we gonna start with an introduction about myself. I'm going to talk about myself and how we operate. And in the how we operate topic, I'm going to cover how we have aligned our deployment pipeline in Copado. Next, we are going to talk about what are merge conflicts. It's important to understand what merge conflicts are. And then we're going to dive into a topic of Copado conflict resolution and how to actually resolve merge conflicts. The later part of presentation covers two main topics: smart conflict resolution. In this topic, we will understand how to enable smart conflict resolution for your org or for your pipeline, and then how it is being used today in our org. I'll talk a little bit about that, and I'll also let you know how it is helping us with the conflict resolution and fixing the conflicts. The last topic is how to avoid merge conflicts. While I know there are out-of-box functionality which Copado provides to fix the conflicts, it's also important to know how to avoid the merge conflicts in the first place. Though we won't be able to achieve fixing the like avoiding the merge conflict 100%, but actually we will be able to reduce it by some percentage so that there are less conflicts in your deployment cycle, followed up by Q&A. All right, let's dive in. My name is Abhinav Agwan. I am the solutions architect at Cisco Meraki. My primary job is to plan the DevOps strategies and manage releases. When I say plan DevOps strategies, it goes into different streams. I plan DevOps strategy for our day-to-day deployments. I plan DevOps strategy when we are trying to use Copado for other systems and tools we have, like for example, MuleSoft. I'm working on creating the strategy for MuleSoft deployment. We use web methods, so I'm also working on creating strategy on web methods. So creating the DevOps strategy is definitely important for your organization. It's not just using the tool and using the functionality, but it is also necessary for you to understand what strategy you would like to apply by using that tool so that the tool is used for the best use and you will be benefited by using that tool for your org. We have been working with Copado since January 2020. At present, we have total number of 65 developers and Salesforce admins in our Copado ecosystem who deploys the Salesforce changes every week. We manage around 85 plus sandboxes, and I know some of you must be thinking that is a big number. 85 sandboxes in the pipeline is a huge number, and I agree to that. But we have come up with a strategy where we are still able to manage those sandboxes and we are able to deploy every week. Earlier, we used to deploy bi-weekly, but we have improved our deployment cycle. Now we deploy every week, so the changes can get received in production faster. And stakeholders are always want to deploy changes as fast as we can. So we are trying to make some improvements in our deployment cycle. So from bi-weekly, we went to weekly recently. We also refresh our orgs 2 times in one fiscal year. Refreshing your orgs is very important. You need to maintain the metadata in all the org. This is mainly important for the testing purposes. Whenever you test something, you want to make sure that you have the right metadata from your production environment. And also it's a good practice. So setting up the cadence for a refresh org is very important. We do that. Like I said, we do that 2 times in one fiscal year. When a new person joins our team, we make sure we do the onboarding session with them where we cover how we do deployments using Copado. We have made it mandatory for our developers and Salesforce admins to at least take the Copado Fundamental 1 training because that covers the basics of Copado. They will understand Copado jargons, and when the DevOps person is trying to explain something using those Copado jargons, they will know what we are talking about. So I really feel the onboarding sessions are really important when a new person joins your team because they will always come from a different mindset since they are coming from different companies, and all companies have their own strategy of working on DevOps and doing deployments. Like some company still today, they make changes to production directly. I know that's insane, but they do it. But in our org or in our company, we don't do that. We want to follow practices, processes to maintain the code quality and deploy the quality product end of the day to the stakeholders. That is why my recommendation is very important for you to ensure that whenever a new person joins, make sure you do onboarding sessions. That's what we do. And we also handhold them with their first two deployments. So they get used to the deployment, they get used to how to navigate using Copado tool in Salesforce, and then they can just deploy on their own. Our end goal or our focus is achieving ultimate CI/CD. Now you will ask, what is ultimate CI/CD, right? The continuous integration and continuous delivery and deployment is what is CI/CD. The CI part is almost there. We are able to achieve CI part, I should say 80% we are there. But the continuous delivery is definitely a goal. It's a far-fetched goal, but we would like to deploy on demand at some point of time. And I think we will be able to achieve it using Copado automations and automated testing. So that's about me. Let's dive in to how we operate. So this is our deployment pipeline. On the far left-hand side of your screen, you will see development sandbox. Then we have team integration sandbox. Then we have integration sandbox. So first three are the developer sandboxes, and then followed up by QA staging production. QA and staging are full copy sandboxes, and we have production, which is our live production environment. There is another developer sandbox which is connected to production. That is a hotfix sandbox. Hotfix sandbox is used when you do release, and if something goes bad in production, to fix those issues, we use hotfix. Also, we have weekly cadence of doing releases. So, for example, if you have something which you are planning to deploy during non-release day, then you can use off-cycle requests, and those requests can be handled through hotfix to production. Whenever that change goes to production, we back promote that change all the way to the lower environment. Let's try and understand the role of each environment or each sandbox we have. So we have a development sandbox here. The purpose of this sandbox is to do the development work. What happens initially, we receive all the requests from Jira. So our stakeholder will create the request in Jira, and then our Scrum Master will do the sprint planning. When the sprint planning is done, tickets are assigned to the developers and the Salesforce admins. Once the tickets are assigned, the development work can start, and we develop everything in personal dev sandbox. So each of our developers and admins have their personal dev sandboxes. If you pay attention to this structure, you see there are two developers or two developer sandboxes attached to one team integration sandbox. So today we have around about 6 to 7 team integration sandboxes. Each team integration sandbox, we have about 6 to 7 developer and admin sandboxes connected. So each team has a mix of developers and admins who do deployment every week. The team integration sandbox is connected to integration sandbox. The role of the integration sandbox is again to handle merge conflict. Now, I would like to take your attention back to team integration sandbox. Let's take an example. So here, Kim and Pam are from same team, right? And they are trying to deploy their change into the team integration sandbox. We want to make sure that whenever two developers in the same team are working on the same file or working on the same metadata and trying to deploy the same metadata using the one deployment pipeline, we want to make sure they don't override each other's changes. That's why we have this team integration sandbox, which checks for merge conflicts between team members. So if Pam and Kim are working on same change and tries to deploy the change into the team integration sandbox, then Copado can check for merge conflict between Kim and Pam. Now let's assume that change moves over into the integration sandbox. This is where we check for merge conflicts between teams. You may have a different setup for your Copado pipeline, you may have a different strategy. But if in case if you have developers more than 10 to 20, my recommendation is to divide them into the groups of different teams and try to address the conflict resolution using this method. How it helps us is, for example, if David from another team is trying to deploy the same metadata file which Kim is also deploying, then both their changes will merge into this common intersection, which is integration sandbox. And this is where Copado will check for merge conflict between Kim and David. So, you are actually working in your team, but you are also not working in your team, where Copado is helping you to address any merge conflicts, which is coming from different teams in the same org. And this is how we handle our merge conflicts coming from different developer sandboxes. Then the change moves to the QA sandbox. This is a full copy sandbox. Right now we perform manual testing. So as soon as the user story moves from integration to QA, our QA goes in, perform manual testing, and they strike a conversation with the developer just to make sure that the QA is done correctly. If there are any issues, then those things are communicated back to the developers, and developer will go back, rework on the change, and recommit the user story, and the same deployment flow will take place. Let's assume we are on a happy path and the testing goes well, right? Once it happens, then the change moves to staging. All our stakeholders, they have access to the staging environment. We want to make sure that we give stakeholders some insight into what is coming into production based on the requirement which they have submitted through Jira ticket. And this is a great way to get a second confirmation from stakeholder before things go to production. This is where stakeholders can come in, they can test their changes, and they can let you know if everything is working as they have expected. If there is a change in requirement, yeah, you can make that change and you can recommit the story. And once you recommit the story, you can again ask stakeholder to test their changes. Once the change goes to staging, this is where the DevOps team comes into the picture. And this is where we take all the user story, we validate them and deploy to production. What other things we have done here is we have created different projects for each team. And I'll tell you the reason why we have done that. We have round about, like I said, 6 teams. So we have created 6 projects. So whenever a person deploys a change, they use their own project to deploy the change. And when that change comes to the staging environment, we create 6 promotion records. And the reason we do that is because we want to divide the user story in different promotion records. We don't want to have all the user stories in one promotion record, because we deploy around about 40 to 50 user story every week. And that's a big chunk of stories. And the chances of failure are more when there are more number of user story. But if you divide those stories, then the risk level is very less. It's minimal, right? So that's why we have 6 projects. One project can contain around about 7 to 8 stories. And when you run the validation, you are actually able to understand if any user story is throwing error. In our scenario, if the user story throws an error, we remove that user story from that promotion record. The DevOps person goes back and have a word with the developer, and they rework on their changes, and we give them time to deploy their recommitted work into staging. So we do our validation on Thursday morning, and we do our deployment on Thursday evening around during off hours, during 7 p.m. PST. So that way we are able to give more time to our developers, and they are able to recommit changes if there are any last minute issues in our deployment. But yeah, this is how we have set up in Copado ecosystem, and this is how we operate, and that is how our deployment pipeline is set up. All right, we talked about deployment pipeline, we talked about how we do deployments. Let's talk about how we get merge conflicts and what are merge conflicts actually. To understand what are merge conflicts, you have to understand how teams are shaped up in your DevOps environment or in your org, and how you deploy your metadata in that org. If you have a single deployment pipeline, and if you have multiple developers like we have, then there are chances that two developers may end up working on the same file. So when that scenario occurs where two developers are working on the same file and they are trying to deploy the change in the same pipeline into the same environment, that's when the merge conflict happens. In the backend, we have GitHub. So when the merge conflict happens, GitHub is not, or the Git is not sure how to merge branches, right? Coming from different streams or coming from different development sandboxes. So this is where the merge conflicts comes into the picture, and Copado provides a good solution to fix these conflicts. Few examples are two developers trying to deploy same Apex class, and a very famous example is the layout, right? I know admins work on layouts every release. There is a field to add, there is a field to remove, you have to create new layouts. So we have faced a lot of challenges before we had merge conflict in place, where admins were overriding each other's changes, especially on the layouts. So when merge conflict came into the picture, we were able to stop those changes. We were able to track those changes on the far left side of the deployment pipeline, and we were able to fix them using merge conflicts. But in a nutshell, if you have to understand what are merge conflicts, it's pretty straightforward. Two developers or two admins working on same file and trying to deploy that change in the same pipeline into the same environment. That's when the merge conflict happens. All right, before we understand how Copado provides conflict resolution and how we actually resolve the conflict, I think it is important to understand how GitHub works in the backend. Because at the end of the day, Copado is an XML deployment. So in the backend, XML files are generated, they are being merged using GitHub, and they are being deployed. Now, while that happens, you need to understand where the merge conflict comes into the picture and how merge conflicts takes place in the first place. So let's try and understand this. Imagine you are a developer, you have created user story. The first thing you do is you create user story and commit your change. When you commit your change, what GitHub does or what Copado does in the backend is it creates a feature branch. The feature branch are generally cut from the main or master branch in GitHub. This is to make sure that we get everything from production into that feature branch. And then what Copado does, Copado adds your commit on top of that master or main branch. So your feature branch contain everything from master branch and your new commit. If you have any ongoing work in your development environment or your personal development sandbox, Copado will not include that work. Only the work which you have committed on the user story, that will be added into the feature branch. So first step is creation of the feature branch, where feature branch is cut from the main and only commits from the user stories are added in that feature branch. Next step is definitely creating the pull request. If you have the quality gets set up to make sure there is a second pair of eye looking at your changes and confirming everything looks good based on the requirement. For if you are doing Apex code deployment, then you also have to get the minimum code coverage. So once you go through those quality gates, your user story is ready for deployment into the higher environment. The next step for you is to click on the submit button on the user story page. That will create a promotion record. What exactly promotion record is? It is actually a record or a container that will host your commit or that will host your user story. And in return, it creates a promotion branch. Now, this is very important to understand, right? What is promotion branch? So Copado creates promotion branch from the destination branch. If you have to take an example of our pipeline, if Kim is trying to deploy a change into the new biz dev environment, then Copado will create a promotion branch out of new biz dev environment during that promotion deployment. The feature branch then gets merged into the promotion branch. And we have to understand that the promotion branch are created only for the deployment purposes. They are created dynamically whenever you try to deploy change from one app to another. So for example, if you are deploying from team integration into the integration branch, then Copado will again create a promotion branch out of integration branch, and it will merge your feature branch changes into that promotion branch and ultimately into that org. So to understand what promotion branch is, it is cut from the destination branch, and it adds developers new contribution by making sure everything in the destination branch is intact. Now let's understand where the merge conflict happens. When Copado or when GitHub is trying to merge feature branch into the promotion branch, that's when the merge conflict happens. And when the merge conflict happens, your deployment will stop. You will get a notification saying that there is a merge conflict, and you will need to look into that conflict. You will need to resolve the conflict. So when that happens, it's important to have the merge conflict resolution strategy for your environment. And once you have set up your resolution strategy, you will be able to fix the conflict. So the identification of merge conflict happens when the feature branch is trying to get merged into the promotion branch during the deployment process. Now let's suppose you have the conflict resolution strategy in place, you have everything set up to fix the merge conflict, and we will definitely look into how to do that and how to resolve the conflict in the later slides. But let's assume for time being that you have merge conflict resolution strategy in place. So once the merge conflict is applied to the changes, then the feature branch will get merged into the promotion branch. The deployment status will change to conflict resolved, and the deployment will move forward into the higher environment. So you see in the backend, in the front end, you see on the UI that there is a merge conflict, but in the back end, there is a lot which goes on in the GitHub, and it's very important to understand how GitHub operates and how GitHub comes into the picture when you use merge conflict strategy. So I hope you all understood how GitHub works. Now let's move on to the topic of Copado conflict resolution, how you can set up conflict and how Copado helps you to fix those conflicts. So the first step for setting up Copado conflict resolution is to enable exclude from auto resolve from a merge conflict to occur. Copado offers you three types of conflict resolution. First one is auto resolution, second one is manual resolution, third one is smart conflict resolution. But first, to enable the conflict resolution, you go to your pipeline, click on edit, and look for the column which reads exclude from auto resolve. In that column, the next important thing you have to understand and decide is the metadata. You need to decide what metadata you will be fixing manually if the merge conflict happens. So any metadata which is added on the right side of the column is considered for manual resolution. Right now, you can consider Apex classes and triggers for manual resolutions and the layout. Whatever which is not present on the right side of the column of this exclude from auto resolve tab here or section, that will be considered for auto resolution. What it means is, if for example, I don't have profile metadata selected here. So whenever you are trying to deploy a profile using Copado deployment pipeline, and if there is a merge conflict, Copado will take care of auto resolution for you. It will apply the resolution automatically. It will send you the message that auto resolution has been applied, and the user story will move forward. So I think it becomes very important for your team or for your org to understand what kind of metadata you want or you would like to have for manual resolution. Next one is smart conflict resolution. We're going to do a deep dive in smart conflict resolution in next slides. But this is the time where you decide whether you want to enable smart conflict resolution or not. And to do that, you just need to check enable smart conflict resolution checkbox here, and that will enable smart conflict resolution for your pipeline. My recommendations or what we have done in our org is we have enabled smart conflict resolution. We have excluded Apex classes, triggers, components, layouts, lightning components from auto resolve from global pick list. So we have excluded everything from auto resolve and we have added on the right side of the column. This is to make sure that when there is a merge conflict while deploying an Apex class, we want developers to go in and review the conflict before they decide to accept the requested solution and move forward with their deployment. But for profiles and other less riskier metadata, we don't have manual resolution. It's mostly auto resolution. Few things which are good to know when you are setting up conflict resolution for your pipeline is online conflict resolution can be enabled at promotion level as well. So you can actually resolve conflicts using online conflict resolution at promotion level only instead of pipeline. Conflict resolution is applied to that specific conflict only. So what I mean by that is your user story changes will remain entire, but when the promotion goes from one off to another, the conflict resolution is only applied to that promotion branch and not to the user story. So if you are trying to again move from, for example, integration sandbox to QA sandbox, there is a chance that you will again see the conflict and you will again have to intervene and fix that conflict manually, or Copado will fix it for you depending on what metadata you have selected in your exclude from auto resolve global picklist value. And if you have enabled smart conflict resolution, I think you will be able to save good time and the resolution will be applied automatically. Like I said, we will talk about it in next slide. But this is where you can set up the conflict resolution. Few things which I would like to mention here is at times you deploy promotion with multiple user story. So example, a scenario where you have a user story, you added to promotion record, you have two stories. So first story got a merge conflict. You fix the conflict and now you are trying to deploy the change forward. But there is a chance that second user story may also have merge conflict and then the merge conflict will again show up. So don't be surprised if you get multiple merge conflicts in a single promotion record. It is very much expected and you just need to fix the conflict and move forward with the deployment. All right, let's take a look at how to resolve merge conflicts. So far, whatever I've explained is around like how we create stories, how we deploy stories, how we resolve merge conflicts. I think it's very important to also understand how to actually resolve merge conflicts in your environment. So if you create the user story and if you deploy the user story in the higher environment, and now then Copado is trying to create the promotion branch, and in our previous slide, we understood that when the feature branch is trying to merge into the promotion branch, that's when the merge conflict happens. So when that happens, it will send you an email. So Copado will send you an email, but also on the promotion record, you will see a button which reads, there is a merge conflict. And what you have to do is click on that conflict resolution button on your promotion record. So navigate to the promotion record and click on resolve conflict. That will take you to the screen where you will be presented with two options, manual resolution and auto resolution. If you have enabled smart conflict resolution, then it will definitely show up as a third option here. But for example, if you are deploying an Apex class, we want to make sure that you manually resolve those conflicts. You will ask the question, hey, okay, Abhinav, you're talking about manual resolution, but also I see auto resolution option even for Apex class. Copado gives you an ability to disable auto resolution from the setting. So auto resolution option doesn't show up when you are trying to deploy Apex classes and your developers are bound to resolve conflicts manually. In our org, we have made a mandate. We want to keep that auto resolution option open for everyone, but all our developers follow the practices and they fix the conflicts manually for the layouts and Apex classes because that is what is expected out of them. So for example, now you got a conflict and you got the screen, you clicked on manual resolution, you will be presented with the screen where you will see a resolution, which is a two-panel screen, and you just have to click on the black arrow here, which will merge the resolution into your promotion branch. And then once you click on save, then it will apply the resolution. Copado also provides a three-panel option where you can see three panels. First panel will be talking about the conflicts in the promotion branch. The rightmost panel will show you the conflicts in the feature branch, and the panel in the center will talk about the solution that needs to be applied. So the solution will be in the middle column. You have to understand few things while resolving the conflict. You can edit the conflict resolution panel to maintain the semantics. Like at times it happens when you apply the conflict, the semantics of your code will be messed up and that will cause error or issues at a later point of time. So you can actually edit your conflict resolution and you can type it and you can make the changes. So just food for thought, make sure whenever you are resolving the conflicts and accepting the conflict by using manual resolution, make sure your code looks good, make sure all the syntax and semantics are in place. Let's assume you accept the conflict, then you have to click on save, and you will be presented with another screen where you will see the highlighted resolution method will be the manual resolution, and the status will read as conflicts resolved. The next step for you is to click on create deployment, and that will create the deployment for you, and you will be able to deploy your changes to the higher environment. Like I mentioned before, once you do that, there is a chance that Copado will again create a promotion branch after you click on create deployment, because that is what it does, and it will apply that solution. But your second user story in the promotion record may consist some merge conflict. So you just have to follow the same steps at that point of time. If the first story is Apex class and the second story is a profile, then you don't have to worry about it. Copado will take care of it through auto resolution because we have not added that in our global pick list where we want to exclude the metadata from resolution. So this is how you resolve merge conflicts using Copado. Now let's talk about smart conflict resolution. Like, why should you choose smart conflict resolution? I think you should use smart conflict resolution to save time and effort. And the reason I say that is imagine in our example, we have 85 sandboxes. Everyone is deploying something every single time in every single release. And the chances of having merge conflict is pretty much high. So when you are presented with this kind of scenario, you want to make sure that if the conflict happens, your team is not spending too much time in fixing those conflicts manually, because that will eventually increase your mean time to deploy into production. Comes smart conflict resolution. So if you check smart conflict resolution checkbox, what Copado does, it stores the resolution you have applied as an attachment in the Git repository, because the resolution is applied in the backend through the promotion branch and it is applied to the promotion branch. So when you save the resolution in your Git repository, and next time when the same conflict happens, then Copado will automatically apply that resolution to that issue or to that conflict. So you don't have to intervene manually and you don't have to fix it manually again. You see, I mentioned back promotion here. And the reason for that is we do back promotion in our environment. So if I take you again back to our deployment pipeline, we have automated back promotion setup. So whenever a story will move from team integration into integration, we automatically deploy that change into the lower environment. Now imagine there are merge conflict in 20 user stories. And those 20 user stories need to be deployed to 85 developer sandboxes. So in that case, you don't want your team to spend a lot of time on fixing the merge conflict. So we make sure that the smart conflict resolution is enabled. So the solution is applied automatically, even when you do back promotion. So it saves you a lot of time when you do the forward promotion and when you do the back promotion. You may ask, okay, Abhinav, we talked about merge conflict, we talked about smart conflict resolution. There is always a scope of making a mistake, right? We are humans, we make mistakes. Yes, I agree. Your developers can make mistake, and the mistake they can make is when they apply the resolution manually. to the conflict which has occurred in their promotion. If that happens, then the same resolution will be applied to all the other conflicts which are similar, and then the same resolution goes back to all the lower environment. When that happens, you will get to know about it. You will definitely hear developers coming to you saying that, hey, things doesn't look good and looks like there is a conflict which is applied, which is not correct. What can we do about it? If wrong resolution is applied during your deployment or during your manual conflict resolution, then you can easily remove it from the Git history. So you go to your Git repository, look at the Git history, and you can very well identify the solution which has been applied using smart conflict resolution. You just need to simply delete it, and the conflict or the resolution will not be applied again to any of the conflict which will happen in future, which are similar in use case. If that same conflict happens, the solution will not be applied. So there is a backup for you to also not apply the incorrect resolutions using smart conflict resolution. And I think that's a great thing to have that at your disposal in case something goes wrong during manual conflict resolution. Let's take a look at smart conflict resolution flow. So to enable smart conflict resolution, you just go to pipeline, you check the box, and that will enable smart conflict resolution for you. If you don't need smart conflict resolution, again, just uncheck the box, and it's very easy to enable and disable smart conflict resolution. Let's also take a look at how it works in the promotion record. So if you have a smart conflict resolution enabled, and if two developers are deploying the same Apex class or making changes to the same Apex class, then the conflict resolution will happen. Once you apply a resolution, it will be saved. And when the same conflict appears next time, what Copado does, Copado will apply the saved resolution to that conflict. And how will you get to know about it is in your promotion record, you will see smart resolution highlighted or smart conflict highlighted. That means a smart conflict resolution has been applied. In this case, you don't need any manual intervention to fix that conflict. And the third aspect of this flow is GitHub. You will definitely want to monitor your GitHub just to see in your PR, what kind of conflict resolution has been applied. So if it's a smart conflict resolution, it will be highlighted in this orange bar stating that the smart conflict resolution is applied, and GitHub will present that message on your pull request. So this is how the smart conflict resolution flow works. Everything remains the same till the point you get the merge conflict. But then if smart conflict is enabled and if Copado has solutions stored in the Git repository, then it gets applied automatically, even for the Apex classes. And that will save time for your developers, your DevOps team, on fixing the same conflict every time when a user story moves from one op to another, because you are going to receive merge conflict every single time whenever you move your changes to the higher environment, if it presents the conflict. So just to avoid, save time, and efficiently fix those issues, if the conflict is already applied, you use smart conflict resolution. And I think it's a great tool, and our developers are liking it. All right, let's talk about how we can avoid merge conflicts. Yes, there is a merge conflict. There is a merge conflict resolution panel and everything, but you have to also think about what Copado offers to stop these merge conflicts in the first place. Like I said, you won't be able to avoid merge conflicts 100%. It's not possible, but you can reduce the amount of conflicts you can receive in your org. Few things what we have done, I would like to share that with all of you. The answer is back promotion. And there are two type of back promotions which you do. So initially we came up with a strategy where we scheduled back promotion. And then the reason we did that is our team is widespread. We have teams in India, we have teams in US, UK, Australia, and Canada. So you see, we have developers all over the world, and they are deploying things every release. It's not possible for a person sitting in India to regularly be in touch with a person sitting in US because their working hours are different. But you want to make sure that they still work collaboratively by getting Copado in place, right? So what we did is we enabled schedule back promotion. We identified the time when no one is doing deployment in our deployment pipeline, and we scheduled a job to back promote the stories which are deployed to the higher environment. So if I have to take you back again to the deployment pipeline, initially what we used to do, we used to get everything into staging and we used to schedule back promotion. But later on, we realized that we are doing back promotion way far in the pipeline, which is on the right side of the pipeline, and we want to move it little on the left. So we shifted left and we started doing back promotion when things are hitting into integration sandbox. With schedule back promotion, what we were able to achieve, we were able to get the changes in the lower environment on specific time. But again, we had some issues where because of the timing and because of the team, how it is spread out, it's very difficult to do the back promotion or schedule back promotion at the same time where you have these many developers. And one of the challenges with schedule back promotion is that given that it was scheduled and no one was monitoring it, we started facing issues. If a user story fails during back promotion, then you need a person to actually trigger the back promotion again. And we definitely don't want to spend a lot of time doing back promotion just to fix the merge conflict resolution. So what we decided automated back promotion. What automated back promotion is doing for us today is when the story moves into the integration sandbox in our deployment pipeline, it right away triggers automated back promotion. And I know you will say, okay, Abhinav, what if your automated back promotion is triggered and then at the same time another person is trying to deploy the same file into the same environment? Yeah, that can happen. And like I said, you can't achieve or you can't avoid merge conflicts completely. But our idea is to reduce the merge conflicts which are happening in the deployment pipeline. And when we automated back promotion, what happened is as soon as a new change is deployed into integration sandbox, it got back promoted to the team integration sandbox and to the personal dev sandbox. So we are deploying a change all the way back to the personal dev sandbox. So next time when another person is trying to deploy the same change on the same day, let's suppose in the matter of like 2 hours difference, the other person is trying to deploy the same change, they will have the latest copy of the change which has been deployed into integration. So when that person moves the change forward, they will have everything in their commit, and there are very less chances that the person will get the merge conflicts while moving the change forward. And that has reduced our merge conflict resolution time significantly. We don't see too many merge conflicts nowadays because we have done that. There is a risk, like I said, but yes, there is always a better reward to what we are doing. And we thought, okay, we would like to continue with this. The worst thing can happen is someone will override the change or they will get a merge conflict, right? Definitely not override, but they will get a merge conflict, which is fine. They will able to see the merge conflict and fix it. But with automated back promotion, at least they will have the recent file, so the merge conflict don't happen if two-person are working in two different teams, like what we have. And the third solution is yes, you have to maintain the sandboxes. So have a sandbox cadence, refresh your sandboxes on time, and that will just make sure that all the environments are in sync. Everybody has the same changes what we have in the higher environment, and you maintain the sanity of your sandboxes. So these are the three things which you can use to actually avoid slash reduce your merge conflicts in your deployment pipeline. With that, I would like to end the presentation with a quote by Drew Houston. Don't worry about failures. You only have to be right once. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abhinav. That was awesome. I think you'll have some questions. We've been answering, Ellen's been answering a lot of them in the chat, but if anyone has any more questions, we have some time.
Hi, Abhinav. This is Shravya here. So, I have question related to automated back promotion. We have, oh, first of all, it's a good, very good presentation. Thank you for that. And the question is related to automated back promotion. How you are managing the manual steps during automatic back promotion? We are seeing. I mean, we have scheduled automated back promotion in our pipeline, but every day we have to go there and check the promotion branches and resolve the manual steps. Then it triggers the deployment. So how
Okay.
can we fix that type of issues?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will say when you have automated back promotion, the manual steps are something where you have to go into the promotion record and fix the conflicts manually. So if you enable smart conflict resolution, the solution will be applied and you can reduce the time of fixing those back promotions manually, and instead you will do it automatically since the solution is stored. I know this may happen that at times you will have to go in, even if you have enabled automated back promotion, you have to go in and fix the merge conflicts manually. That will happen, but the amount of time it will happen is way less if you enable smart conflict resolution. You again raise a good point about manual steps, right? I'm not sure if you meant by
Yeah.
manual resolution, but if you have some manual steps that needs to be taken care in the lower end for the back promotion to go in, what we do today is if we maintain a list of manual steps which we perform into higher environment. So technically, if you have a manual step, for example, if you want to create a custom metadata or something like that for your deployment to go through to production, same thing need to happen in the lower environments. So we maintain the list of those changes. We maintain the steps, and before we deploy those things to production, we share that with our deployment team in through Slack, and we make sure that everyone is completing those steps, and we help them understand if they don't do it, there is a chance that they will face some issues during deployment. That is one way to do it. Second way is to request them if you can refresh their developer sandboxes. Because refreshing developer sandbox is 3 to 4 hours job. You can refresh it and then we can have the latest change. Those are the two ways we are trying to manage the manual steps during back promotion in our.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Actually, we are also trying to reduce the manual steps, but it is how Salesforce functions. Sometimes we have the pre deployment steps and post deployment steps. So, yeah, thank you for that solution.
No problem.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah. Hi, Abhinav. This is Vijay.
Hey, Vijay.
Yeah. Thanks for session. So, yeah, my question is for automation back promotion. So, are you using the connection behavior to automate this?
Yes. So to set up the automated back promotion, you you have to establish connection behaviors anyway, right? When
Yes,
you do the
connection behavior.
in the same connection behavior, you get an option to set up the back promotion. You will have a separate tab where you get a option to schedule back promotion and to set up automated back promotion. You can choose one of the options. And there is also one interesting thing. You can do back promotion based on the status. So if you have a use case where, okay, you want your user story to move to staging environment where the user story status changes ready to UAT. So once the user story status changes to ready for UAT, then you want to pick in that back promotion. So that is also possible. So there is a way you can work it out based on the status, or you can simply the options in the same connection behavior. So in our example, we have integration behavior. So when the change comes from team integration sandbox into integration, in that connection behavior, we are doing back promotion. So as soon as the change hits integration and the deployment is finished, the automated back promotion takes the same change and move it back to the lower environment. That is how you can also maintain your continuous integration into the left side of your pipeline. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's thank you.
Hi, I have a question. We are in our starting steps in implementing Copado, and my
Mhm.
question is about um, we are working in two teams. One is for sales and the other for service. Each team has a team leader, and each team has two developers and five implementers.
Mhm.
So, what are the consideration of working is in team integration where developers, I mean, we will have two teams that each team will comprise of a developer and implementers versus the option for two teams that we will mesh up. So we will have one team for developer and one for implementers. And this is for the reason that the teams, as I understand, is our team is relatively small.
Mhm. All right. Great question. And we are actually working on that. So you see, I talked about we have 85 sandboxes. Now it's a big headache to maintain 85 sandboxes. And our next strategy is to reduce the number of sandboxes. Now let's take a look at how you can do it. And I will try and answer your question based on this. If you have a team of developers and implementers, I will assume implementers are the people who are working on non-code changes in your Salesforce environment. You can very well create two project sandboxes, one for the developers and one for the implementers. The thing you have to consider is if they are using the same sandbox, then there are chances that they will override each other's changes. For example, in if you have the developer sandbox and one developer is working on an Apex class, another developer has access to the same sandbox, he or she comes in and they make changes to the same Apex class. This will happen if they are not speaking with each other. And the reason they will not speak with each other is because they are based out on different locations, they are working in different time zones, they are working in silos, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is you can create two sandboxes, one for implementer, one for developer, for the people working in the same time zone. So if you are a team of, and this is what we have done, we had three developers in India, we had two developers in US, and one BSA in US. And we also had one BSA in India. So what we did, we created one sandbox for India team, we created one sandbox for US team. And we requested them, hey, can you please speak with each other when the sprint planning is done to make sure you are not working on the same file? And it worked. It is actually working like um, it's working amazing for us. We are able to earlier we had imagine like earlier for the team we had about 8 to 9 sandboxes, personal sandboxes. Now we have reduced it to two sandboxes. I will definitely say this, people will need their personal dev sandboxes, but with smaller teams, you are still able to achieve the team sandboxes, and you can establish a strategy where you can present with one developer sandbox, one implementer sandbox, one for code changes, one for non-code changes. But the crux of it is they will need to speak with each other.
Yeah, a good human interaction. Yes.
Right. Otherwise, and I think the Scrum Master plays a very vital role along with the product owner in this scenario, because Scrum Master will receive the request, product owner will also know what is being implemented along with the team lead. Scrum Master should be able to understand what tickets they are assigning to which person. So if you figure out that in your smaller team, you will be able to have less sandboxes. For for our project work, like we also have scenarios where the project work needs to go for a month or two without being deployed to the higher environment. So we also have a project team sandbox where we have about 20 plus people working on the changes. And the way they are able to work in that project sandbox is by having a regular conversation and having a good sprint planning sessions just to make sure that no one is getting the same ticket. And if they are working together and moving their changes accordingly into the pipeline. These are some things which you can consider while setting up the team sandboxes for common skill set in your team, one for developer, one for implementers.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no, Ram here. I'm just curious about you mentioned 85 plus sandboxes. Can you please
Yep.
elaborate on that? What is the purpose of keeping 85 plus sandboxes, and how is it based upon the teams, or it based upon the business units? Why there is a need for 85 plus sandboxes? Yeah.
Right. I know this question will come up. And the answer to this question is we started very small. We started with 15 developers initially. The team has grown exponentially and we have a lot of work. Eventually, the strategy we had initially that everyone will have their personal dev sandboxes just for the fact that they are not in the same time zone, right? Like I said, teams are not in the same time zone, so it's very hard for them to speak with each other and collaborate on the work. It is bound to happen that if I'm sitting in Australia, you are sitting in US, there is no way we will be able to communicate with each other daily. Yes, you can do it. I'm not saying it's not possible, but when you have more people in different time zones, it is difficult. So that is the reason we decided. That was the core reason we decided we'll have personal dev sandboxes. And then the tragedy happened, right? Oh, how will we maintain these sandboxes and how everyone will be able to have the recent files and everything. So that's when the back promotion came into the picture. But we definitely do not support having these many sandboxes. I personally don't do it. But just for the fact that how we are set up, how we are located and situated, we have to have personal dev sandboxes. But at the same time, we are trying to reduce those sandboxes and we are trying to get people working together in same time zone in order for them to work in one sandbox. It's not possible always. You may have two developers in your team, one working for sales stakeholder, one working for marketing stakeholder. We have that kind of mix and match in our team. We have like 6 value stream. When I say value stream, consider it as one team. Each value stream has 4 developers and 5 BSAs, something like that. So consider 8 people. Now imagine those 8 people have to speak with each other every day on every single change they are building. For that reason, we decided, okay, we will give you personal dev sandbox. We will try to maintain it through automated back promotion. But when you are trying to move changes into higher environment, we implemented that team integration sandbox and integration sandbox to counter the merge conflicts. So we want to make sure that they focus on development. They don't spend too much time discussing with each other, because then you will have to wait for a person to come online and then set up the call and speak and understand what they are working. Instead, you do your work, move it, let our process take care of it. It has been working for us, to be honest. I'm not lying about it. It is working. Yes, we have issue in back promotion, but we have a team to take care of those issues on time and fix them during automated back promotion. And we have seen significant improvement in our deployment cycles. Like I said, we moved from 2 weeks to 1 week deployment, and we are able to do it with 85 developer sandboxes. The only pain is sandbox refresh. So when we have to refresh those sandboxes, it's a huge monumental task for us, but we also have a strategy for it. So yeah.
Okay. Just adding to that, um, in the process of automated back promotions, right? So if I consider the volume of 85 sandboxes, you might be having the team integration sandboxes of at least 10, something around 10.
Seven integration sandboxes, and then we have 4 project sandboxes. Out of them, 2 are like full copy sandboxes where the
Okay.
project.
Okay. So during this back promotion, consider you have some deployment failures
Mhm.
during a back promotion, or it may be merge issues. Who is taking care of that? Is that a development team comes
No.
and see if the pipeline, or a DevOps team? Who will take care of that?
Yeah, so we want to make sure our developers focus on development and not fixing the issues, right? So we have our DevOps team. So in my team, we have 3 people who are assigned specific sandboxes. So for example, 3 sandboxes are assigned to one person, and they take care of the back promotions if there is any issue. It is time consuming, like I said. If you look at it in a holistic view, what I'm trying to do right now is my team is spending time in fixing back promotion, and each person is assigned 3 teams where they have to take back promotion. They are doing a great job, but I don't want them to spend a lot of time on just doing the back promotion if the issue happens. So that is the reason I'm proposing the strategy to reduce number of sandboxes. But while that happens, I have to make sure that I continue to support the development team. So what we have done, we have created Slack channels for my DevOps team. So each person in my DevOps team has their Slack channels with the teams, 3 teams. And if there is a back promotion issue, they just inform the person there's a back promotion issue, they are working on it. And if there is any conversation need to happen, it happens. But then we take that activity, like first 2 hours are spent in fixing the back promotion for our team. And since the team is spread out in India, EST and PST time zone, it helps us to divide the team and pay attention to specific teams by providing one dedicated point of contact for each team. That's how we are doing it right now.
Okay, one last question. Do you have any guardrails between team integration sandbox and the other integration sandbox? Like, let us think some back promotions are not deployed. How are you handling that?
I have created an epic. So anytime there is an issue in back promotion, I have requested my team to record that. When they monitor every day, first thing they do, they come online, they look at the pipeline, they see how many back promotions are failing. We create the ticket in an epic for each quarter, and as a team, if that person is not able to fix it, we try to help that person fix the issue. Once you find the resolution for that back promotion, the other team members don't have to spend same amount of time in fixing that one issue if the one person is dedicatedly looking into it. So that way we want to make sure not 3 DevOps consultant or engineers spending time in fixing just one issue. Each person just record the issue. We have our stand-ups where if they are not able to fix the issue, we discuss the solution. Once solution is identified, we just apply it together. And like I said, the first thing they do is to apply the solution. So every morning, we come up with a list of back promotions which are failing, and we fix them. Now this is something which is a mundane task, right? And you can't keep doing it every day. That is why we implemented a cadence of sandbox refreshes. So we refresh sandboxes, so just to make sure that if too many back promotion issues are happening, we anyway refresh sandboxes 2 times in one fiscal year. But we just reach out to the developer, we take the backup of their work, and we refresh their developer sandbox. Because refreshing developer sandbox, which is a personal dev sandbox, is very easy because only one person is working in that sandbox, and it's just 4 hours task. So we refresh it, and it is ready next day for them to deploy their recent changes into higher environment, and then they will not have any back promotion issues.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
See, which clients I have worked for, one best way to guardrail this back promotions is we have a DevOps exchange package like back promotion enforcer. That is also one way we have tackled this, keeping as a guardrail. Without deploying that, it will not be moved forward in the pipeline. Yeah. Again, thanks for all your answer, and thank you.
No, those are great questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
We are
Hi,
at
Abhinav.
time, but if you
Hi.
are able to stay up enough, you can, but I don't want to take up your time. We can move to the community and ask questions, or feel free to message me. We can get your questions answered.
I can take this last question and then probably
Okay.
we
Yeah.
yeah.
Hi,
No, no.
Abhinav. First of all, thank you very much for this brilliant session. This was very anticipated one. We were really looking forward for that. So thank you
Oh.
very much for delivering it. But my question is regarding this hotfix strategy. Like take this scenario when we do a hotfix deployment to production org. So how do you ensure that your new bug fix deployment to production org is not introducing any regression to the in-flight changes in the pipeline? What is your strategy there?
We have weekly cadence of deploying things to production, right? On Thursday, we deploy everything to production. What we have informed our team is at any point of time, if something breaks into production, then they can request the hotfix. We have created a Jira form. They can request hotfix through Jira form. We have automated approval processes, and the request gets approved and everything happens. We do initial form of testing in hotfix sandbox. So hotfix is similar to production, minus the metadata because it's a developer sandbox. And we deploy that change to production. Now imagine, to your question, there are in-flight changes, right, in staging, and you have made a hotfix on the same file, which is in flight. There will be a problem. It will override the change or the merge conflict will happen. When the merge conflict will happen, what we do, we reach out to that person, we discuss it out, whether to apply that merge conflict or not. And depending on that, we either request that person to recommit the change or we move change all the way. If there are no issue, we move all those changes till integration. Once it hits integration, the auto back promotion kicks in. So my team has to just deploy the hotfix, which is deployed to production till integration sandbox, and then the automated back promotion will take care of moving that change into the lower environment. Yes, there is a risk that changes may be updated because we made a change in production and in-flight changes may have impact because of that. But when we do back promotion during the merge conflict, we are able to counter that and we are able to fix any deltas which we have during back promotion if we do the hotfix.
That makes sense. Thank you very much, Abhinav. I don't want to hold you more because you have already gone through X. No, thank you very much, Abhinav.
Yeah,
Really
if you have
appreciate that.
questions, reach out to me on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the great questions and the engagement with this session. And thank you, Abhinav, for such an awesome discussion today. I think it was really valuable for everyone. I sent a link in the chat. If you have more questions that are general, feel free to post them in the community, and I'm sure somebody will get to them quickly. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to us directly with specific questions. And yeah, we'll have another event like this coming up in July, so we look forward to connecting again then. Thank you all for a really great session today.
Right. Thank you so much again, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. And folks in India, good night. Folks in different time zones, good night. All right. Thank you.